How has Sergio Ramos gone from being one of the most loved footballers in his home country of Spain to one of the most hated and heavily criticised, to the extent that his footballing value has lost more than 10 million euros in just 2 years? Is it simply the passing of the years that have diminished the physical abilities of the Seville defender? Or bad business decisions? Or is there a dark and hidden side that Ramos himself does not want you to know about? In this video, we will analyse all the causes, step by step, and we will start, of course, at the beginning. In 2018, Sergio Ramos was at the height of his popularity after an impressive career at Real Madrid. After winning 3 Champions League titles with Los Blancos, being decisive with a stunning 93rd minute goal against Atletico Madrid in 2014, in 2018 he was once again winning the Orejona after defeating Liverpool 3-1 in the famous final, where Loris Karius had a psychotic episode, probably caused by the ingestion of some bad substance or other. A final in which Ramos himself destroyed the German goalkeeper with an elbow, leaving England's #1 team in shock. It was all joy and happiness for the Madrid fans and for the Spanish defender himself. But we soon discovered the hidden reality behind all those successes achieved by Sergio Ramos and the Merengues. November 2018, just a few months after the great success in the Champions League, the bombshell fell on Ramos and the football world in general. Real Madrid, coached by Mr. Desmayos, Julen Lopetegui, were going through a woeful results crisis following Cristiano Ronaldo's departure to Juve in Italy's Serie A, and Sergio Ramos was at the receiving end of most of the criticism. As captain, his performances had dropped alarmingly from the previous season, and the press began to speculate on the possible causes of this apocalyptic drop in form. Just then, football leaks and the German newspaper Der Spiegel broke the news. Sergio Ramos had tested positive for doping after the 2017 Champions League final, which, after a memorable second half of the match, Real Madrid had crushed Juve 4-1, with Sergio Ramos playing the whole game. The substance for which he had tested positive, dexamethasone, is a corticosteroid that causes a physical result similar to anabolic steroids. Several athletes, such as the Malaysian Lee Chong-wei, #1 in the international badminton rankings, were sanctioned for several months and were unable to compete after testing positive for this substance. But why not Ramos? In case you don't know, anti-doping legislation in Spain is extremely lax, and with the exception of sports such as cycling and athletics, other sportsmen and sportswomen are hardly prosecuted at all, and even less so in football. Alexander Seferin's UEFA, which gets on so badly with Real Madrid and its president Florentino Pérez because of the famous Super League that he is trying to set up as a counterpart to the UEFA Champions League, on this occasion they pardoned the Spanish defender and the team doctor, who had failed to indicate that he had injected Sergio Ramos with dexamethasone in the UEFA anti-doping report. And he forgave them because, according to the player's own statements, he did not know that the substance was a doping substance. Oh, of course. The Spanish Federation didn't sanction the player either, even though they recognized that he was totally doped to the gills, when they included in 2022 dexamethasone as a doping substance, one which was banned in the Spanish anti-doping code. Of course, alarm bells went off when Football Leaks again leaked that on the 15th of April 2018, after a match against Malaga in La Liga, Sergio Ramos directly flouted the anti-doping test when, breaking the rules, he decided to take a shower before passing a urine test, despite being warned by his own team doctor and by the Spanish anti-doping agency itself. He started singing in the shower and literally told the anti-doping official to go fuck himself. The Spanish anti-doping agency sent a letter to Real Madrid, and Sergio Ramos had to answer questions from the EIC, the European body in charge of investigating anti-doping events. But Florentino Pérez again pulled strings and advised Ramos to ignore this investigation. It was the beginning of the end of his time at Real Madrid, as since then, coincidentally, his footballing performances have dropped alarmingly. Florentino knew that Ramos could no longer tarnish the Real Madrid name, and so suddenly both the doping news and the Camero's high performance disappeared. But what was going on in Ramos's head and bank account at that time? For years, Ramos had declared that he would play for Los Blancos for free, something that was totally untrue. His brother and agent, René Ramos, is a beast when it comes to searching out easy money, and he saw Cristiano Ronaldo's departure to Italy as the perfect time to ask for a pay rise for his bro. Sergio had reached such a level of popularity that even Jeff Bezos' Amazon offered him a documentary series in which, like another Kardashian, Ramos would show off his life with his beautiful wife, TV host Pilar Rubio, and all for a fee of around €4 million for 2 seasons. At 33, the Seville native saw that he was earning more money from image rights and advertising than from playing football for Real Madrid. And in his own mind, he truly believed that he was the Spanish Cristiano Ronaldo. And so he spoke to René and told him to negotiate with Florentino Pérez a spectacular playing contract for 2021 and 22. Sergio Ramos wanted to earn €12 million for 2 seasons, i.e. more than he was already earning as a Real Madrid player, despite the fact that his performance had dropped alarmingly after the doping events and several disappointing seasons at the Santiago Bernabéu. In part, it was understandable. His TV appearances did generate millions of euros in publicity, whether it was singing with his guitar in hand like a rock star on a TV show, or selling his wedding in Seville Cathedral. A wedding attended not only by football legends such as Luka Modric, David Beckham, Joaquin Sanchez or Jordi Alba, but also international superstars such as the hair metal demigods Europe, the favourite of Sergio Ramos' wife. Then there was his horse business, with a 44-hectare estate in the municipality of Bollullos de la Mitación. It was sweeping the equestrian world by breeding purebred Spanish mares, and his fortune amounted to €100 million. However, wily old Florentino Pérez saw that the performance of his player was far from optimal, and he decided not to give in to the pressure from René Ramos. The Real Madrid president offered a tough negotiation in which, yes, he would accept $12 million that Sergio Ramos was asking for, but only for 1 season. The player was now 34 years old and with several injuries behind him. Florentino was covering himself against another drop in performance, but that did not please the defender. So he decided to negotiate with another great mafioso of world football, Nasser Al-Khelaifi, president of Paris Saint-Germain and one of the most dangerous tycoons in the sporting universe. In his megalithic project, which consisted of bringing together great figures of world football such as Leo Messi, Kylian Mbappe or Neymar, Al-Khelaifi offered Ramos the contract he wanted, and so he ran off to Paris with his wife, all of which meant a big change both on a footballing and business level. Although the technical level in French Ligue 1 is inferior to that of the Spanish league, the physical level is markedly superior, and Sergio Ramos paid the price with a woeful first season, lowering his financial value by tens of millions of euros. At 35 years of age, he was already spending more time on the sidelines injured than playing on the pitch, so much so that he could not even make his Champions League debut for PSG. And as always, the negative performance, in this case, one could even say an embarrassing level of performance, is linked with a lot of criticism off the pitch. The once friendly, stocky Spanish defender was now a crude copy of David Beckham, with ridiculous outfits that had little to do with the gentlemanly looks of the British midfielder who had triumphed in Paris. His wife, Pilar Rubio, could no longer work as much in Spain, and she became another Instagram victim with hate-filled comments on her posts, criticizing the Spanish beauty's change of image from humble neighborhood girl to classic Parisian jet-set it girl in dresses by Chanel and handbags by Louis Vuitton. And if that wasn't enough, Sergio Ramos was also hated by his own Madrid fans who used to revere him. And then he declared that Leo Messi, and not Cristiano Ronaldo, was undoubtedly the best footballer he had ever had the privilege of playing with. Oh dear. This move to Paris meant that he was less in control of his business than in Spain, and Ramos was sued by several of his employees for unfair dismissal. accumulating losses of close to €5 million for bad management, and even losing €19 million for a bad investment in real estate, in future constructions in Madrid. Sergio lost in 2 years what he had not lost in almost 15 years in Madrid, and then Amazon decided not to renew their contract with the player. Oh, but there was still no end to his decline. After finishing his contract in 2023 with PSG, and after a summer in which nobody offered anything to sign Sergio Ramos, Seville FC, the team where he had grown up, offered him one last chance at the ripe old age of 37. Not even Sevilla's own sporting director, Victor Orta, wanted Sergio Ramos in his squad. It was the lack of defenders and the continuous chain of injuries of the players in his squad that made him sign the legendary Spaniard after the transfer window as a free agent. Ramos was no longer earning €12 million, for now he had to settle for a paltry €2 million, which further reduced his football income, and of course he would not enjoy the premium treatments he enjoyed with dexamethasone in 2018, after it was already banned. His sporting performance, now at 37 years old, did not stand out, and he ended up being eliminated from the Champions League in the first round, and then followed a disastrous season where Sevilla FC was far from the top of the table in the league. And so there was hardly any sporting motivation apart from avoiding relegation to the Segunda División, after having already sacked 2 coaches at the Hispales side. Sergio Ramos is trying to offset his losses by entering the world of singing, releasing a hit song with Los Yaquis that has little to do with success in football. In fact, he has been much more focused on music than football. Why, he even presented an award at the Latin Grammys in 2023. However, Ramos' football performances are so bad that he has even been criticised by his own fans, who originally saw in him a possible saviour. He's resorted to confronting them in statements, pleading for respect, and all this for a man who is now more of a singer than a footballer. Undoubtedly, another broken toy of capitalism and big money in football.